welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're going to be looking at FIRE financial independence. Retire early, but with a twist. We're diving into a Reddit thread from the FIRE subreddit,
Okay.
and it tackles a fascinating question. Why are some folks who've already hit their FIRE number choosing to stay in the workforce?
Yeah, it's a bit of a head scratcher, right? You'd think hitting that financial milestone would have everyone racing for the exits.
Exactly.
But as we're going to see, there's a lot more to the story.
Definitely. Let's jump right in. One user, CB Dudek, talks about being in it for the recreational employment.
Oh, okay.
What do they mean by that, and how does this challenge the traditional FIRE narrative?
So this is where things get interesting. It throws a wrench in the idea that work is, something to be avoided at all costs. Reaching FI for some, it isn't about escaping work entirely. It's about finding the freedom to pursue work that brings them genuine joy and fulfillment.
So it's not about no work, but better work. I can see how that shifts the perspective.
Right.
But what about the practical side of things? Another user, NetLawyer, managed to negotiate a part-time role with overtime pay,
Oh, wow.
essentially earning almost full-time income for half the work.
That's impressive.
Could this be a strategic move for those hesitant to fully detach from the workforce?
Absolutely. FI isn't just about hitting a number. It's about wielding a powerful negotiating tool. Imagine walking into your boss's office and being like, hey, I don't need this job.
Right.
It completely changes the dynamic, It opens up possibilities for better work conditions, more flexibility, and even, as we see here, potentially increased compensation. For you, the listener, I think this highlights how reaching FI can be a game changer in terms of your leverage and control at work.
Okay, this next comment is a bit more, shall we say, anxiety-inducing. Thick Money 786 expresses concern about someone in charge of economic levers. Sounds like a veiled reference to current events and how those might impact their FI plans.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. This speaks to a very real fear that many people, particularly those nearing FI, experience, the fear of the unknown. It's not just about having the money, it's about feeling secure and confident in your decision to retire amidst, potential economic or political uncertainty.
So how do you navigate that fear? Do you just ignore it? Or is there a way to factor it into your FI plan?
That's where risk management comes in. It's about acknowledging these anxieties and finding ways to mitigate them. The subreddit moderator Zeev R chimes in to address this very point, reminding everyone that FIRE is, it's a long game played on an ever-changing field.
Yeah.
Flexibility and adaptability are key.
Speaking of long games and changing fields, Thick Money 786 also mentioned sequence of returns risk. And user Fuckalicious12 chimed in with a $2 million example. They emphasize that the first few years of retirement are crucial. What exactly is sequence of returns risk, and why should you, the listener, care?
This is a concept that every FIRE aspirant needs to understand. It boils down to the fact that when you retire, in relation to market performance, can significantly impact the longevity of your portfolio. Imagine you retire right before a major market downturn. You're forced to withdraw a larger percentage of your savings to cover your expenses, and this can deplete your funds much faster than anticipated, even if you started with what seemed like a safe amount.
So it's not just about how much you have, but also about timing and having a cushion to withstand potential market dips.
Right.
Fascinating. Now let's switch gears and talk about generational wealth. User Coke Cowtown plans to work until their kids leave for college,
Okay.
primarily to instill a strong work ethic. What do you make of this approach?
This brings up an interesting debate about how much we owe future generations, financially speaking. Is it about providing a safety net? Or is it about instilling values like hard work and financial independence? There's no easy answer, and we see differing viewpoints within this thread itself.
User Heartless Gamer, for instance, prefers to help their kids achieve FI early on. It's a contrasting approach that prioritizes early financial freedom over prolonged parental support.
Exactly. And it highlights how FI isn't just a personal finance strategy. It can also be a philosophical approach to parenting and legacy building. It's about deciding what values and financial habits you want to pass on to the next generation.
And then there's the classic saying, shirt sleeves to shirt sleeves in 3 generations, brought up by user Ditch Digger Girl. This speaks to a fear of inherited wealth, leading to complacency and eventual financial ruin.
This cautionary tale reminds us that true financial independence goes beyond just accumulating wealth. It's about cultivating the skills and mindset to manage that wealth responsibly, regardless of how you acquired it. It's about fostering financial literacy and ensuring that future generations are equipped to handle the responsibilities that come with wealth.
And speaking of responsibility, user original competitive is choosing to work a few extra years with a specific goal in mind, setting up future generations for life.
This is a noble goal, but it does raise an intriguing question. Does providing such a significant financial safety net actually benefit future generations in the long run? Shoddy at 7511 argues that inheriting a comfortable lifestyle might hinder individual drive and work ethic. It's a complex issue with no easy answers.
It's a delicate balance between providing support and fostering independence. But what about the emotional side of retiring? User Adage 214 waited until they reached a point where they had to actively stop themselves from telling colleagues to share and add hashtag off.
Oh my gosh. This comment, while hilarious, highlights a crucial element of the FIRE equation that often gets overlooked: emotional readiness. Reaching your FIRE number doesn't automatically flip a switch and make you mentally prepared to walk away from the workforce.
Right. It's a reminder that retirement is a major life transition, and it's crucial to be honest with yourself about your emotional readiness for this change, regardless of your financial situation. Now, let's talk about a practical consideration mentioned by several users, including Trader0721 and Chartreuse Avocado. They bring up the impact of unvested RSUs. Can you explain what RSUs are and why they might influence someone's retirement timeline?
So RSUs, or restricted stock units, are essentially shares of company stock granted to employees. However, there's a catch: they're subject to a vesting schedule, meaning you don't fully own them until certain conditions are met, often including continued employment for a specific period. Walking away from a job before those RSUs are fully vested could mean leaving a significant chunk of potential wealth on the table.
So it's like a delayed gratification scenario.
Exactly.
Work a bit longer, and you unlock a potentially substantial financial bonus. It makes you wonder how many people factor this into their FI calculations. Now, Semi-Colorado native seems to be living the dream. They have a list of reasons for staying put, working from home, 7 weeks of vacation, 2 company cars. It's like a FIRE paradox in action.
This is a perfect example of how FI isn't a one-size-fits-all concept. What truly matters is aligning your financial goals with your personal values and lifestyle preferences. If you genuinely enjoy your work, have incredible benefits, and feel financially secure, there's no need to rush retirement just because you hit a certain number.
It's about finding that sweet spot where work enhances your life rather than detracts from it. Slow Molasses 1 echoes this sentiment, emphasizing the importance of a buffer for unexpected expenses or healthcare costs. It's a reminder that life can throw curveballs, and having that extra financial security can bring immense peace of mind.
Planning for the unknown is, a cornerstone of responsible financial planning, especially as we age and potentially face, higher healthcare costs or unforeseen circumstances.
And speaking of healthcare, several users, including Cake and Boeing 727 and Mud Puppy 64, expressed concerns about the uncertainty surrounding healthcare costs and the transition to Medicare. What are your thoughts on this, and how should listeners be factoring this into their FI plans?
Healthcare is a major concern for many Americans, particularly those approaching retirement. It's a complex system, and the potential costs can be intimidating.
Definitely.
So it's understandable that people want to maintain employer-sponsored health insurance for as long as possible.
It's a reminder that FI isn't just about covering basic living expenses. It's about ensuring you have adequate coverage for potential healthcare needs. What are your strategies, listener, for navigating healthcare costs in your FI plan? Have you thought about the potential costs of long-term care or unexpected medical expenses?
Now, user Rocket 363 makes an interesting observation. Numbers that sound secure when they're 10x what you have don't feel that secure once you reach them. It's a curious psychological phenomenon. What do you think contributes to this shift in perspective?
It's like reaching the summit of a mountain, only to realize there's another, even higher peak in the distance. Perhaps it's lifestyle creep, the fear of the unknown, or simply a recalibration of what enough truly means. Maybe you, the listener, have experienced this feeling as you progressed on your own FI journey.
It underscores the importance of not just focusing on the financial aspects of FIRE, but also on the emotional and psychological preparation for such a major life change. Hitting your number is one thing, but feeling mentally and emotionally ready to walk away from the workforce is another challenge altogether.
Emotional.5420 seems to be grappling with this. They like their job, but dislike the people and the lack of progression. Sounds like a case of golden handcuffs. but with an emotional twist.
It's a common dilemma for folks who've achieved financial independence but haven't quite figured out how to mentally detach from their work. It's about finding ways to create healthy boundaries between your professional and personal life, even if you're not ready to make a clean break.
Now, let's talk about a user who seems to have mastered this work-life balance. Alexa Cross 1000 is working from anywhere, coasting at work, and enjoying 6 weeks of vacation plus holidays. They'd even admit to being kind of addicted to earning money. What's going on here?
This speaks to the idea that work can still be enjoyable and fulfilling, even when you don't need the income. It can provide structure, social interaction, a sense of purpose, and even an outlet for creativity or ambition.
It's like they found a way to turn work into a hobby, a source of satisfaction rather than stress. But what about those who are striving for even greater financial security? Some folks are aiming for what's often called fat fire.
Fat Fire is all about having a significantly larger nest egg that allows for a more luxurious lifestyle or greater flexibility in spending. For some, it's about reaching a level of abundance that transcends just enough.
Effective Big 6867 is taking a different approach, choosing to work until their kids finish school. It's a decision driven by family priorities and a desire to provide stability during those crucial years. What are your thoughts on this, listener? How have family considerations impacted your own FI journey?
This reminds us that FI isn't always about individual goals. It often involves family aspirations and shared financial objectives. Now, Davy James Dio is in a different boat. They're still a couple of years away from FI, but their target number is very bare bones, with only a 78% chance of success, according to their calculations. They're wondering if they'll chicken out and work longer to build a bigger cushion.
This brings up the concept of risk tolerance. Some people are comfortable with a bit of uncertainty, while others crave a greater margin of safety.
Absolutely. It's a personal decision based on your individual circumstances, risk appetite, and how comfortable you are with the possibility that your FI plan might not unfold perfectly. Yeah, it's a good reminder that FIRE isn't like, a guaranteed path to success. There are always risks and unknowns to consider. And it's important to be realistic about the potential challenges you might face along the way.
And sometimes those challenges aren't just financial. Salty Bagel, for example, is financially ready to retire, but is waiting for other areas of their life to fall into place.
Interesting.
What do you think they mean by that?
Well, it's a great illustration of how FI is about creating like a holistic life, one that's fulfilling on multiple levels. Maybe they're planning a move, waiting for a partner to reach FI, or simply want to make sure they have a clear vision for what they want their retirement to look like.
So it's not just about the numbers. It's about aligning your finances with your personal goals and aspirations. It's about crafting a life you're excited to wake up to every day. Now, Horror Owl 6077 asks a question that I'm sure is on many listeners' minds. Asset allocation after reaching FI. They're wondering if they should shift to a more conservative approach or maintain a higher level of risk.
That's a question that keeps many FIRE achievers up at night.
Okay.
It's all about finding that sweet spot between preserving your capital and potentially continuing to grow your wealth. Do you prioritize safeguarding what you've earned, or do you seek to maximize potential gains?
It's a tough decision.
Yeah.
And I imagine it depends heavily on individual risk tolerance, time horizon, and financial goals. What advice would you give to someone grappling with this dilemma?
I'd encourage them to think about their sleep quality. If constantly checking stock tickers and worrying about market fluctuations is going to keep them up at night, then a more conservative approach might be best. But if they're comfortable with a bit more volatility and have a longer time horizon, they might opt for a more growth-oriented strategy. There's no right or wrong answer. It's about aligning your investment strategy with your emotional comfort level and overall financial objectives.
It's another reminder that FIE is a journey of continuous learning and adaptation. Now, DB11242 is thinking long-term, aiming to work an extra 5 years to give their kids a head start or pay for college.
Wow.
They also believe that working through a potential market downturn could help mitigate sequence of returns risk. What are your thoughts on this proactive approach?
It's a savvy strategy that showcases the power of using your working years strategically. It's not just about achieving personal financial goals. It's also about leveraging those years to potentially benefit future generations or build a lasting legacy.
It's a powerful reminder that FI can be about more than just maximizing your own financial well-being. It can also be about making a positive impact on the lives of others. Speaking of impact, Chartreuse Avocado brings up a familiar topic: the influence of unvested RSUs on retirement decisions. They're planning to work a few more years to allow those RSUs to fully vest recognizing the significant financial benefits of doing so.
Right. This highlights the importance of taking a holistic view of your financial assets when calculating your FI number. It's not just about your current savings and investments, it's also about factoring in future income streams and potential windfalls.
It's like assembling a financial puzzle, making sure all the pieces fit together to create a complete picture. Now, Revolutionary Fan 235 is seeking a different kind of work-life balance, hoping to transition to a 60% part-time role while still enjoying the perks of their current company. Is this a realistic possibility for those who've achieved FI?
Absolutely. FI can be like a gateway to a more flexible and fulfilling work arrangement. It's not always about quitting entirely. It's about leveraging your financial security to negotiate a work structure that aligns with your priorities and values. We're seeing a growing trend of people seeking greater work-life integration and a more personalized approach to their careers.
Like taking control of the steering wheel and charting your own course, rather than being bound by the traditional 9-to-5 grind. Writes Way Too Much shares a similar sentiment, planning to work part-time after FI for security, mental stimulation, and to help their kids. They emphasize the importance of finding work they like. What do you think they mean by that?
It's about finding work that resonates with your soul, work that provides both financial and personal satisfaction. It's about pursuing a career that feels more like a calling than a chore.
It's about finding that sweet spot where passion and purpose intersect with your financial goals. Now, Force Fire 1 has a unique approach. They've hit their basic fire number, but are working towards a second, larger number that would allow for more extensive travel and luxurious experiences.
Okay, so this showcases the idea that FI can be like a tiered concept, with different levels of financial freedom corresponding to different lifestyles and aspirations. It's about defining what enough truly means to you and setting financial goals that align with your vision for the future.
So it's not just about escaping the rat race. It's about designing a life that aligns with your values, passions, and aspirations. It's about creating a life that feels both financially secure and personally fulfilling. Now, Al Anonymous is taking a more cautious approach, choosing to work longer to build a bigger buffer and prepare for a potential market downturn. They also mention wanting to save up for some home renovations. What does this tell us about the evolving nature of FI goals?
It's a great example of how FI is, a dynamic and evolving process with goals adjusting as you progress along your journey. Life doesn't stop when you reach FI, and there may be other financial goals or priorities that emerge.
It's about having the financial flexibility to pursue those goals without jeopardizing your overall financial security. Ags Jesu echoes this sentiment, enjoying their field but wanting the freedom to be more selective about job opportunities. It's about prioritizing job satisfaction and work-life balance, knowing you have the financial security to walk away if needed.
Yeah, it's a powerful illustration of how FI can empower you to make career choices based on your passions and values rather than, feeling trapped in a job you dislike out of financial necessity.
It's about reclaiming your time and energy, investing them in pursuits that bring you joy and fulfillment. Now, Strange Brewfellows is taking a more introspective approach, continuing to work while they figure out what they want their retirement to look like. What are your thoughts on this discovery phase of FI?
It's a wise approach that recognizes the importance of having a clear vision for your retirement, beyond just not working. Retirement is like a blank canvas, and it's an opportunity to explore new interests, hobbies, or potential paths for the next chapter of your life.
It's about using the time before retirement to experiment, discover, and design a life that feels both meaningful and exciting. One Mastodon 1063 brings up an interesting point about the psychological benefits of FI, even if you choose to continue working. They describe the feeling of empowerment that comes from knowing you could walk away from any job at any time.
Yeah, it's about having the financial security to make choices based on what's best for you rather than feeling pressure to stay in a job you dislike out of fear of financial instability.
It's about reclaiming your autonomy and agency, knowing you have the freedom to choose your own path. Now, Zoriantu shares a story about delaying retirement for several years while enjoying a fulfilling and well-compensated job. They ultimately decided to leave when their work environment changed, but they emphasize the value of continuing to work if you're genuinely happy and finding value in what you do.
It's a great reminder that work can be a source of joy and purpose, and there's no shame in continuing to work, even if you don't need the money, as long as it's enriching your life.
It's about finding that sweet spot where work becomes an expression of your passions and talents rather than a means to an end. Garuda is in a similar boat, enjoying their work and using the extra income to fund their desired lifestyle. It's about finding a balance between work and leisure and using your FI status to create a life that is both financially secure and personally fulfilling.
It's a great illustration of how FI can empower you to, live life on your own terms, whether that means retiring early, working part-time, or continuing a career you love.
It's about having the freedom to choose how you spend your time and energy, aligning your actions with your values and aspirations. Distinct Plank 82 is taking a very pragmatic approach, evaluating the retirement decision on an annual basis, weighing the potential lifestyle upgrades from continued work against the value of increased free time and flexibility.
It's a smart strategy that recognizes the fluidity of life and the need to adapt your plans as circumstances change.
It's about approaching FI with a flexible mindset, being open to adjusting your course as new opportunities or challenges arise. Unlikely Alt 9383 is still a few years away from their goal FI number, but plans to retire regardless of whether they hit their stretch goal. They highlight the importance of achieving a level of financial security that eliminates financial stress and worry.
It's, a great example of how FI is a personalized journey, with different individuals having different levels of risk tolerance and financial aspirations.
It's about defining what financial freedom means to you and pursuing a path that aligns with your unique circumstances and goals. Seventh Michael is focusing on building a diversified income stream that includes both variable income from investments and fixed income from a pension. This approach aims to create a more stable and predictable retirement income stream that can weather market fluctuations.
It's a sound strategy that highlights the importance of planning for multiple sources of income in retirement, especially as traditional pension plans become less common.
It's about creating a robust financial foundation that can withstand unexpected challenges and provide peace of mind. Dogfather 75 is experiencing a common challenge: lifestyle creep. They mention increased travel expenses pushing back their FI timeline. What advice would you give to someone grappling with this issue?
Lifestyle creep can be like a sneaky saboteur of FI goals. It's important to be mindful of how your spending habits evolve as your income increases and make conscious choices about where you want to allocate your resources.
It's about finding a balance between enjoying the present and planning for the future, ensuring that your spending aligns with your long-term financial goals. And finally, Bright Meat 820 offers a thought-provoking observation. People dream of retiring early before they find something they'd like to do.
Yeah, it's a powerful reminder that, FI isn't simply about escaping work. It's about having the freedom and resources to pursue your passions, whether that's a new career, a passion project, or, simply spending more quality time with loved ones.
It's about designing a life that aligns with your deepest values and aspirations,
Mm.
a life that feels both meaningful and fulfilling. Wow, what a journey we've taken through the minds of people who've reached FI but haven't retired. There's so much more to it than meets the eye.
Absolutely. This deep dive has shown us that reaching your fire number is just one piece of like a much larger puzzle. It's about finding a harmonious balance between your finances, your personal goals, and your emotional readiness for this next chapter.
So for you listening out there, here's something to ponder. If you were financially independent today, what would be holding you back from retiring?
Right.
What aspects of your life, your career, your relationships, your sense of purpose would you want to reevaluate or redefine?
And what steps could you take right now to get closer to that ideal scenario? Whether it's, fine-tuning your FI plan, negotiating better work conditions, exploring new passions, or simply taking some time for introspection to figure out what you truly want to do with this newfound freedom.
This deep dive might have been sparked by someone else's question, but hopefully it's ignited some ideas and insights for your own FI journey. Remember, financial independence isn't just about the numbers, it's about creating a life that is both financially secure and personally fulfilling. Thanks for joining us on the Deep